If we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not going to be operating at the highest level, which is
100%.
providing the highest values possible for
Yeah.
our audience, for our customers, right?
Right.
So that's why I love the 10x is easier than 2x concept. I live by that the past 5 years. So I know that it's a non-negotiable when it comes to recovery, because that gives me what I need, the space I need, so I can problem solve for my clients, so that I can creative, so I can continue to innovate and iterate, a business.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Jenny Townsend, your host. This podcast is for doers, dreamers, and those trying to decide what's next. I, along with amazing guests, will be sharing stories of success, failure, and what's to come. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome. I'm Jenny Townsend, your host. I am so excited about today's conversation. My friend DeDee Cai is going to be sharing some great information with us. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're a woman in business, you're going to want to tune in and listen today. Today, we're going to be breaking down yourself, friends, and family, and individuals that are going to make an impact on your life and things that you can do for them as well. I'm going to read a little bit about DeDee's bio before I welcome her, and she tells you a little bit more about her. DeDee is a motivational speaker, sales strategist, and founder of Fit to Profit, a movement empowering women entrepreneurs to build wealth and legacy from the inside out. With nearly 2 decades of experience in business and wellness, she blends psychology, cognitive science, and holistic principles to help women step into their power, own their voice, and lead with confidence, and design lives of freedom and fulfillment through building profitable businesses. Wow, you are amazing. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. DeDee and I met through, I think, Genesis event and somewhere else. And then we were just at a conference in Miami together. And I was like, we got to have you on the podcast. Oh, I remember. It was at the Salt Caves. That's where we met. That's right. At a networking event. So before we get started and get into the nuts and bolts of the podcast, I want you to share with our listeners, what season of life are you in and what got you into the work that you're doing today?
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so honored to be here. Super excited. So I am married. We've been together, my husband and I, for 18 years, happily married with 2 kids. My eldest is 9 years old. She's a girl. And my little guy is 5. The season of my life, pretty interesting that when we first moved to Sarasota almost 4 years ago, my husband was traveling 80% of the time. So not was I running a business, but I was also kind of like semi-single mom for 80% of the time. So that was up until last August. Of course, with all the changes and everything, my husband got laid off. And so now we kind of switch roles. So he's the full-time dad, and I'm full-blown going out there being a entrepreneurial mom. And this has been so incredible. Of course, obviously, I balance my schedule and hang out with them on trips and weekends and things like that. But that is where I am personally. Oh my goodness, with the business, I've been in business now, as you've heard, a total of almost 20 years. But the last 10 years has been coaching and consulting. And I am having the best time of my life. I mean, sometimes I have to remind myself of all of the progress, but also kind of like pinch myself in a way where like, this is what I get to do for a living. This is what we get to do as part of what we do for a living. Is this real? But it is.
That's amazing. So, okay. So I'm already inspired by you, and congratulations and kudos to you. Like, just running the household, being a mom, being a wife, being a business owner. I don't have children, and I always look at women like you and I'm like, how do they do it? Like, I complain about being tired, but I'm like, I have no right to complain about being tired. So your business, which is Fit to Profit, right? Tell us a little bit about what that is so that it makes a little bit more sense as we learn a little bit more about your story and what you're doing, so that people understand they're going to get some really great insight when it comes to financial knowledge today.
Yes, absolutely. So for me, Fit to Profit was created from my whole personal journey, which you'll hear more later. But essentially, fit means you have to be, especially a CEO, to be fit on all levels: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, to profit from the business and from anything that you create to feed into your life. So that's what it means to be fit to profit.
I love that. I'm going to learn so much from you today, especially since I am a CEO.
Yes.
So, okay, perfect. So let's get right into the yourself, because obviously you're a woman of many things. You're rocking, you're rolling. So let's talk about how you do you. How do you keep it all together? How do you create the balance? How do you stay fit financially, emotionally, physically, and spiritually?
Yeah, so I have over the years developed my own routine. And I know there's a lot of internet porn on the morning routine of like what
Yeah.
you should to be doing. But essentially, my routine on a daily basis is really based on my values. And there are the 4 F's. First is faith. I do my devotional meditation, journaling, all that good stuff in the morning. And then fitness. I love working out. Whether it is a group fitness class or a Tai Chi session, or perhaps maybe just, meditation. So that's what I do to take care of my fitness.
I love Tai Chi. I just want to say that I went to my first Tai Chi class probably about a year ago. And I was like, I thought it was just for old people. And it's not.
It's so not.
It's
Yes.
not.
I was judging, yes, for sure. I was the same because I'm high energy, so I love like the really hard workouts, but honestly, same. I took my very first Tai Chi class almost 2 years ago now at a retreat. And the clarity was I've never experienced that kind of clarity. And it's truly the connection between the mind and really being able to be connected with yourself. Tai Chi, I hands down would recommend it. If you need a combination between hard workouts and clarity and focus, I would recommend Tai Chi
I love
too.
that. Okay, cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your
Yeah.
morning routine and the workouts and things that you're
Yeah.
doing. I just wanted to lean into that.
Yeah, so absolutely. So it's faith, fitness, and then family. Of course, I have kids who are school age, so morning routine with them would be breakfast, right? Like getting them ready to school and breakfast with them, etc. So family is very, very dear to my heart. And then after that is fulfillment. That's work, right? So, and if you look at my schedule, you would think I'm some type of a robot because literally my non-negotiables are highlighted in red on my calendar. I don't mess around with those. And then I work everything else into my schedule.
Okay.
And yeah, and I honestly is probably one of the very few people that actually get dressed as if she's going into the office. But that's how I take care of myself. Like I want to feel like I'm actually focused and doing work going to the home office. So the morning routine, that's how I keep myself balanced. Traveling, I love doing that with my family. Every time we have time off together, we'll be taking a trip. So yeah, that's how I take care of me. Because as a CEO, I tell my clients all the time, you are your business.
Yeah, 100% how you show up. So I have a similar calendar type of thing. I do a block scheduling. And the
Same.
first third of the day is all about me, my husband. So working out, doing the meditations. I put on their snuggle because I used to just like roll out of bed and get to work. And my husband needed that time, that companionship, right? So I truly believe that doing you first allows you to be more present and focused and be able to execute like we need to the rest of the day as well. So I love that you're doing that. So when you have your schedule, you're saying the red, is that on a written calendar? Is that on a calendar on a refrigerator? That's in your calendar on your phone? Where is all of your schedule?
So I use an electronic calendar, it's Google Calendar. I also have it connected to my phone as well too. So when I am traveling, let's say if I'm just happen to be in front of a potential client, I know right away what my schedule looks like.
Okay.
I do the same thing. So I only see clients on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And usually Monday are my admin days, Fridays I'm like doing in-person meetings, etc. That depends on the day, but I have a block schedule as well too.
Yeah.
It's electronic so it's easier to travel with.
Yeah, I love it. I have Monday through Wednesdays, I'm at Music Compound. Thursdays is like my podcast day, my CEO day. And then Fridays are my just play dates. But I'm now saying they're F off Fridays. So that way I can just go to breakfast. So it's like my coffee dates, my breakfast dates, or I'll do a lunch date, or I'll play tennis in the morning as well. And then it's kind of like my date night. But that's my flex day because I feel like there's got to be time built in our schedule for ourselves. And so many people overschedule everything else, but create the time for ourselves. So when working with your clients or even when you're talking as a coach with people, how can they build that time in or how can they take responsibility for themselves so that they have the time to do the workouts? Focus on themselves.
Yes, and I love that so much. And similarly, my Fridays also Flex Friday too, just because you can only imagine being a mom. There are going to be things that need to be pushed off.
Yeah.
So usually Friday, of course, I'll take half day off or half the days to kind of catch up with anything that I didn't get a chance to to do for the beginning of the week. So for my clients, same thing. How I set my schedule is exactly what I ask them. What are your values? Like what can you live without?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what is your routine? Like what feeds you first?
Right.
And so we always definitely talk about core values. And interesting enough, whoever's listening in, you understand the the value of having a personal brand, right? But the personal brand is everything about your vision, mission, and values.
Right.
But it starts with your personal values.
100%.
We have to start with that. So we always start with that with my clients. And then from there, we build out everything else around it. I believe that as CEOs, especially lifestyle business owners, we have to work basically our life, our business around our life and not the other way around.
Yeah.
Like even when we do annual planning, I have my clients write down all the days that you need to be off. It's like, we call it recovery is non-negotiable. So what are the days off? Put down all of your vacations on there. Then you put the launches around your vacations. I mean, I know I have to do that with my kids because they're usually off in the summertime. So so July and August, I don't, there are no launches at all whatsoever. So all of my launches are usually in the spring or in the fall, and I usually am off for the summer, like 2 months after summer.
Yeah, I love that. There's so much synergy between us and how we operate and how we do things as well. So I'm part of the CEO forum, which is local, and it's all about CEOs, and there's a threshold of like what you have to do revenue as well to get into it. But we just had Jesse Iser. I don't know if you're familiar with the guy with the big ass calendar.
Yes.
So his whole thing is all about Sarah Blakely's husband.
Yeah.
And so it's all about having your vacations on the calendar first,
Yep.
like having your family on the calendar first, and then building everything else around it. And it's so important. And he talks about doing like mini vacations every 8 weeks, doing one. And some people cannot do it for whatever reason. A lot of it has to do with financial or all the commitments as well. My husband and I didn't travel for so many years, and where there was never time for recovery. There was never time to recharge. There was never any time to like be creative and think and have the vision. It was just like routine, burnout. And so I love what you're doing, and we've incorporated the same thing into our lives as well, which is so important.
Absolutely. Yes. So yes, we do definitely take quarterly trips. That's why we adore our kids' school, because they take off a week at the end of each quarter. So we're somewhere at the end of each quarter.
Okay, for your family as well.
Yes, and 100%. And here's something to consider. There are 4 levels of values. We all agree that as CEOs or business owners, we get paid on the value that we get to create in the world, yes? And what's really interesting is when we're really looking about pushing papers or just doing like the mundane things, there's not much creativity or any of that. But if you can think of the highest level of value is communication, meaning using your voice so that you can communicate your ideas.
Yeah.
And the top level of value is basically imagination and innovation.
Yeah.
And if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not going to be operating at the highest level, which is
100%.
providing the highest values possible for our audience, for our customers, right? So that's why I love the 10x is easier than 2x concept. I live by that the past 5 years. So I know that it's a non-negotiable when it comes to recovery, because that gives me what I need, the space I need, so I can problem solve for my clients, so that I can creative, so I can continue to innovate and iterate,
100%.
my business.
So when it comes to the core values, so we have core values for our company. And just a few years ago, we started doing the core values personally, which I had my core values, but they weren't displayed on the fridge. It wasn't like we were living by them. We weren't making decisions based on them necessarily. We were just reactive. We weren't as proactive. So the one thing, I don't know if you're familiar with the one thing. So anyways, they're the core value cards. So at the end of the year, my husband and I like literally go through all the cards and we pick new values or things that we want. Some of them are the same. Some of them are different as well. How are you encouraging, or how are you incorporating or deciding what those values are? And are you changing them every year, or are they the same year after year?
They're pretty consistent. I mean, as I have shared, that my company values are really truly based on my personal values, right? And it really depends on the season of the business and where we are and what we're looking to do. Then we may add additional values, but the core are always going to be there, right? Like teamwork is always going to be there. Honesty is always going to be there. Innovation, all of the things that is most foundational are always going to be there for us.
Yeah.
And we might have shift a few things, but the core are always there for us.
Okay. Awesome. I want to encourage you to get my book, The Stroke It Guide, available on Amazon and my website. The book is what you need to know from the boardroom to the bedroom. It talks about how to stroke yourself, your spouse, your partner, your friends, your family, most importantly, your employer, employees, and of course, there's a chapter just for the bedroom. Go to Amazon today and get my book, The Stroke It Guide. So if someone's listening today and they're like, I kind of know my values, I need to pick my values, how would you tell them to like lean into the values or pick their values, or how do they get started if they're not really living their life, or if the values aren't really leading it?
Yeah. So what's really interesting is we don't know what our core values are because we're not aware or we're not being mindful. And I would always start from scratch with some of my clients. They have the same question. I would like, what do you love to do?
Right.
Let's just like start really basic. Like, what do you love to do? I love working out. Okay, that's a value. I value relationships. That's a value, right? Like we need to get, oftentimes we're so conditioned to work hard, to like burn out, to like do and stay busy. So we don't have the time to really sit with ourselves, to really think about those things. But if we do, just even for 15 minutes, consider what are at least like 2, 3 things that I really care about.
Right.
We can start with that.
I know. It sounds so easy, but I can tell you right now, like, I know people that, like, I don't know what I love. I don't know what I'm passionate about. Like, so lost.
Trust me, I have done all of that. Early teens is when I first started working.
Okay.
And then the minute I was earning money, I was like, is this what I really want to do? Guess what? If it's worth trying everything to figure it out, do that.
Right.
If you name it, I've done it. I don't know. I worked in a doctor's office. I was a translator. I have a cosmetology license. I mean, you name it, because I wanted to figure out what what I care about, like or even what my talents are, like what I'm good with, and so try it out. You'll figure it out. And I think the process is, at the end of the day, literally, I did a message for my clients this morning. You have to trust yourself in the process, because you have the answers. You just need to be able to take the time to listen to yourself sometimes.
And kind of own it and face it. Because I do believe, I think like someone told me about like anxiety. I don't know where I heard this, but anxiety is because you know what you could be doing. I don't mean to say could and should, but like could or should have been doing or could have done, or what you need to do, what you're afraid to do, or what you're not willing to do. Like a lot of anxiety comes from that, and like the overthinking of it and the procrastination of it and things like that. I feel like, some people just need to do it. Listen and just do it and follow your gut.
100%.
They don't.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I can talk about this topic forever, because at the end of the day, when you're not trusting your intuition, it just comes down to you're not trusting yourself. But the reality is you don't know how to trust yourself because you haven't really given yourself the opportunities to want to trust yourself. Meaning, if you don't know what you like or what your values are there a couple of things that you could try? Try both, and then decide on one or the other.
Right.
Then within that process, kind of process things through, and then the decision that will come.
Right. I love how intentional you are as well. Like, I'm even thinking about your outfit right now, and the yellow is so intentional because that's so my brand for the stroke, the lemons and the whole thing. And I love it. Okay. So thank you for sharing all that. I'm sure that that's super beneficial for a lot of the listeners today. And I think it's a great reminder for some of us that already know some of that, just to like sit in on that and just listen to our bodies, listen to our minds. But you got to create the time where you can start to listen. And I think, once again, we're so on the hamster wheel, or we're not doing what we love and we're completely stressed out, or we just don't take enough time for ourselves. So I'm glad that you were bringing a lot of valid points up today about that. So let's move into the friends and family, and let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and how you support others and how valuable having those relationships are. Because I'm filming a podcast shortly after ours. Like, I have a couple of quickies that I'll be filming, and a lot of it is about committing, but to showing up to friends and family, because it's so important. And there's so many people that, I have no friends, and I'm like, well, you probably have no friends because you don't show up as a friend. So let's talk about what your philosophy is and where you wanted to go with that.
Oh my goodness. Like, this is honestly true value, friendship. It's also a company value.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Some people would say, like, you can't be friends with your clients. That is not true. How can you not be when you're so personally responsible, not personally, but when you're so emotionally invested in their success? Wouldn't you want your friends to do well?
Yeah.
Right? So that's honestly exactly, I agree with you. You have to invest in your relationships. I don't care what kind of relationship it is. You know what I mean? Like, even if this is your neighbor, you have to invest in that. Like, you have to pursue them. Like, it has to be reciprocal. You have to be there for them and vice versa. But truly comes down to it is your relationship with yourself.
Explain. Let's go there.
Yeah, because if you're, for example, we were just talking about taking the time for yourself and figuring out what it is that you like. If you can't do that for yourself, you don't have the capacity to do that for another person.
Right. you can't show up for yourself, you're not going to show up for anyone else. Or if you can't be happy for yourself, you're not going to be happy for other people.
Exactly. Your capacity is capped. Like if you can't love yourself or you love yourself a certain amount, that's the only amount that you're able to give the other person. So relationships is truly really starts with you first and foremost. And then after that would be, I agree with you, being really intentional. Like I'm very intentional with what the people that I want to surround myself with. Yeah. Just so you know, I am a self-development junkie. So if I'm not being challenged in a conversation, or if it's not one of those deeper conversations that I can actually learn from and grow from, I question myself afterwards, like, was that worth a conversation? Because I'd rather not say anything. I'd rather not see anyone. But if I am pursuing a relationship, or if I choose to be somewhere, that has to be meaningful, right? We can make the most money that we ever want to in the world, but we can't buy our time back, right? Yeah. And I would say, yeah, it starts with yourself for sure. And then really honestly, with the people that you are closest with. I'm not saying that you have to love every single member of your family. Not saying that, but the core people, right? How are your relationships with your parents? How are your relationships with your sibling? I'm the only child. I don't have any, maybe that's why all my clients are my friends. But if they're not at the level that you want it to be, perhaps that was work there that needs to be done. Yeah. Right? But it always starts with you. Yeah. Right. I'm saying that because I don't have the best of relationships with neither of my parents. But over the years, we have grown closer. And it takes time, investment, and also intentionality.
Yeah, 100%. So same. I'm very much a go-getter. I love talking about business. I love talking about travel, like where I'm going. And some people that I had been spending time with weren't aligned with those things, or that wasn't happening in their life for one reason or another. My husband and I are double income, no kids, right? So we get to travel. We get to do more than someone that is married and has 3 or 4 or even 5 children. They're paying for college. They're paying for cars. They're paying to clothe and feed way more people in that household. Yeah. And so my circles have changed, not just because of that, but once again, we weren't aligned. Our values, we didn't have the same things to talk about in common. And there was a lot of jealousy and a lot of resentment coming from those individuals too, where they weren't happy. They weren't like, oh, that's amazing, right? It was just like, oh, I can't do that. Or we live different lives, or your budget's just completely different. So my circles have changed through the growth of the company, through the growth of myself as well, and my husband too. And that can be hard. Yeah. I mean, it can really be hard. And one of my coaches said, you didn't leave them behind. They just didn't come with you. And
very true.
Yeah, it's like, just come, enjoy, let's go. So friendships can be super, super hard. And like I said, I'm doing a podcast all about this, about just like showing up as a friend and supporting your friends. You may not have what your friends have, but support anyways. Love them, like the social media post, make the comment, send the text thinking about you, or I can't be there, and then vice versa. Because I do that a lot. And I have, we just had our 10th year anniversary party. So many of my friends showed up. So many showed up. And it's the same friends that show up to everything. There's like a core of them.
Exactly.
But that's because my Fridays, I make time for them. I'm scheduling coffee. I'm scheduling lunch. I'm making sure when they cross my mind, I'm texting them like, hey, you just crossed my mind. And there's so much effort that goes in to having a relationship. And some people don't put the effort in.
It's so interesting. Yeah. Even when we're naturally speaking about relationships, we're saying I'm having a relationship with someone. It's actually building a relationship, right? Even if you've been married for a long time, both of you have to continue working on building your relationship and deepening it to the level that you want it to be. So it's always intentionality, effort, and love, right? Like it's just, there's so many layers of that. There's so many levels of how connected you can be to someone. So just like self-growth, I believe relationships are the same. Like it's just like a plant. You need to put water in it. Yeah. What is it going to grow from?
Right. I love that. So when we're talking about friends and we're talking about supporting, I kind of want to go into the whole entrepreneurship, because I have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs. It is about finding your crew that's like-minded, that has the same values, but has the same desires and has that growth mindset and all that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the entrepreneurship journey and how you're helping entrepreneurs. And, maybe we can inspire some individuals to follow their passion, take a leap of faith, and become an entrepreneur maybe this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness, I have so much to say about that. But let's just say that I don't know. I just fell into entrepreneurship. Well, long story short, first generation immigrant. My parents came. I moved here when I was 12. And so my mom was an entrepreneur. She had home salons. I kind of fell into it. because I
What
needed
kind of salons?
nail salons.
Nail salons.
Yeah, so I kind of had to like help her with the paperwork just because, there's a language barrier with her. Speak English a little bit better and I can read better. So I was helping her with contracts before we knew it. And I was helping her with everything from the back end. And so I kind of fell into it, right? But I resisted it for years because I wanted to go to school to be a therapist. I always knew that I wanted to help people. Right. I just knew that I'm just also a very people person too. I like love everybody. Like I want to meet everybody.
Me too.
And so that was the goal. But fast forward, I had an opportunity to either go to medical school or not, but my parents got divorced. And so as the only child, I felt emotionally obligated to stay, but that's also a blessing in disguise. We closed her salon business and then we went into a restaurant business together as partners. So in my early 20s. So that was my first endeavor. And sometimes maybe it is a decision. That was a decision for me. And so I would say continue with following your instincts. I think that was my instinct to help my mom. It was hard. Truly, after 5 years of the restaurants, I was done. But that was the pivotal moment that led me to the next thing.
Right.
That's why I truly call myself a serial entrepreneur because I tried so many things and to be landing where I am for the past 10 years is a miracle. So I have to say, I literally wanted, like I was inspired like 2 years ago to even start like a entrepreneur success academy. And the intention behind it is just to kind of teach you what it's going to take for you to be successful.
100%. It takes a lot.
Right? Because I have coached clients who have gotten MBAs from Ivy League schools. They know nothing about entrepreneurship. It's not for everyone. I'm just going to say that. It's not for everyone. You have to be in it for the right reasons. It's not for the money. If you think yes, you may hear it from social media and all the things. It may be the shiny object. Like, yes, indeed. If you want to make money, yes, you can start your business. But that's why 75% of businesses go out of business within the first 2 years.
There's no passion.
Because there's no passion. There's no intention. There's no why.
Yeah.
Like it has to be a calling. Like believe me. And so, and you know that. You would know that. Like if you're being called to start some type of business, it's deeper than just making money.
Yeah. I say I came up with my idea after the real estate market tanked. I had to go back to school, develop a business plan, la la la. I never started my company to make money. I knew the money would come later. And it did. The money did come later. And I have a nice lifestyle now. We employ a lot of people, but I never did it for the money. I actually didn't even put myself on payroll until 2018. So 2.5 years in.
Correct.
Is when I added myself to payroll. I was being paid in smiles, hugs, impact, community. And my husband at one point was resentful and jealous. He's like, you get to just do what you love every single day. You're not even getting paid for it. And I was like, dream. So I 100% agree with you. Like, what's the passion? Have that be at the forefront. Now, there is the other side of it too. If you're so passionate about it, you're going to work all the time.
Yes. You still need business and like you still need to know how to run the business, like how to read your financial reports and all of the things.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't get me wrong.
So I totally believe the money will come later, but doing it for your personal why and for the impact because you're passionate about it, it's going to be really hard and you're going to want to quit. And if you're not making any money, it's going to be easier to quit if you don't have that passion and that why in the back as well. So 100% agree with you. Sorry, continue. I want to add into that.
Yeah, and honestly, that's how I knew. That's why I didn't care about the salon businesses. That's why I didn't care about the restaurant. But what happened is we're going to go into it later on. But the moment I realized that I wanted to truly help people, it came full circle to why I wanted to be a therapist in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I truly want to transform people's lives. Not that I couldn't feed someone with the restaurant or whatever, but it's not on the same vision with like helping people better their lives or, and things like that. And so, and then it led me but it's always going to be that moment, right? Like that calling. I'm just going to go straight into it now. Is that my why for starting my business, especially when I hit that moment was after the restaurant. I was completely burnt out. I was starting anew. I mean, my husband proposed. Boyfriend then, husband now proposed. And I was really getting excited for like starting a new life, figuring things out. And my best friend committed suicide the week of our wedding. At the same time, I discovered that I actually was suffering from the same, but I was high functioning. That's why I stayed busy with all of the things just so that I don't have to feel what I needed to feel.
Right.
And that was my calling. That no one, first of all, should ever have to go through what I went through that week. And then also, no woman should ever devalue herself to the point to even consider that.
Right.
My girlfriend was the most beautiful, the most successful, but she didn't see that. She was always suffering from doubt, from fear, from judgment, from just like the, the negative voices that she was hearing.
Yeah.
And that was the moment for me. And that's why I say what I said with it has to be a calling. That was when I was called to like, you need to start a business, just teaching women how to be confident.
Right.
That's all I knew. So I basically channeled my grief into this business with the intention to just help women say what they need to say and embrace what they need to embrace. And I went through my healing process within that. And that's why I meant what I said earlier with Fit to Profit was born out of my own personal journey of healing.
So I think so many people can relate to what you're saying, depression, the anxiety, the self-doubt. There's so much negative chatter. And that's why a lot of people won't start a business or they won't reach out to the friend because of their own self-doubt and all of that. So in that pivotal moment, how did you overcome that feeling, those voices, and actually take the action to change your life?
Yeah, so I would say it wasn't overnight. The decision to do something, yes, absolutely. And then I got married, but the first and foremost, I knew I wanted to help people, but I was broken then. Like there was no way I was going to help anyone. I wasn't even helping myself. And so just one step at a time, I just started taking care of myself. I started working out again, which is something that I love doing. I started learning about health and wellness. That's why my bio says I'm into health and wellness, which led me into running yoga studios and all that good stuff. And then I also was a market leader for them. I was going from region to open new studios for them. So that's kind of like another taste of entrepreneurship, but of course working corporate. And that's how it all started. I was doing that full time. And then I had an idea to maybe start my own coaching business because while I was getting certified to be a holistic health coach, there was a like vocational section of the training where like, this is how you start your business. And I said, wait, that's like being a therapist.
Yeah.
That was also another,
Full
confirmation.
circle. Yeah.
Full circle moment was when, oh my gosh, I want to start a business coaching people to be confident. That's it. And that was it. And then what's interesting though, when I first started my pitching my packages, people didn't want to buy into my holistic health coaching.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, we're healthy. But because of your experience running brick and mortars, can you teach us how to start businesses?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know how to do it, but I can tell you exactly what I did to get an LLC, to start a bank, to get a loan. Like, I can teach you those. They're like, yes, please. I'm like, okay.
Dude, that's what so many people need because they don't know how to do that. And that's the barrier of entry to become an entrepreneur.
Yep.
They're afraid to ask those easy questions.
And so that's how I fell into business development and consulting.
I love that.
Trying to pitch holistic health coaching. But you see how it's meant to be, right? Like I didn't anticipate for any of that, but truly just leaning into my intuition, my personal journey of what I'm really meant to do. And now almost 20 years in total, I'm still sitting here and completely grateful for all of it.
Isn't it interesting how one thing leads to another and like you end up finding this out of need, but out of necessity for yourself or just having the time. I think that's why it's so important for young people specifically, whether they're a teenager or your early 20s, to have as many jobs, have as many bosses, get out there, expose yourself so you can learn the things that you do want to do, what you don't want to do, where's the void. And it also is going to develop some characteristics in you. And then you're also going to develop, say, hey, I want to be this type of leader. I want to be this type of business owner, or I don't want to do that. There's so much experience in actually doing and figuring it out, which is part of the fun of being an entrepreneur.
100%.
Part of the fun of growing, part of the fun of life and failing and succeeding, because there's so many lessons in both.
Yes.
That, yes, go to college, but you may not need to go to college to learn some of that as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a beautiful story. Thank you for opening up and sharing that and your vulnerability. So let's get to exactly what you do, how you help people. I would love for you to share a little bit about your business, or if anybody's listening today and they're like, yes, I want to start a business. Yes, I want to become an entrepreneur. Yes, I want to lean into my values. I want to figure out what my values are. Like, what is all that? Speak to the listener. So if they are interested in working with you or learning more, tell us a little bit about your business and how they can connect with you.
Yes. Well, through the years, I know that I'm committed to, and this is my life's work already, but this is what I'm going to do to the day I pass, right? But it's really to teach women how to use their voice, to be seen, to be heard, and to be remembered for their work. Because as you have heard already, entrepreneurship is special.
Yeah.
It's because you want to create the impact that you want to leave behind, right? And so that's what we do. And that's what I love doing. Especially, I've always used speaking as a marketing strategy for my business, which I didn't really understand. I was just like, I just want to tell people my story, and then if they buy, they buy.
Right.
And it has been my strategy for the past 10 years. And so I get to, within the last 3 years, really hone in my skills of doing that, teaching my clients how to build their own stages. And that could mean literally starting your own podcast. That's a stage, okay? So getting them ready to be seen, ready to be heard, and share more of what it is that they do through speaking, through, using their voice or teaching workshops or whatever it may be. So in a way, I am a cross between a speaker's coach and a sales strategist or business consultant, but with the emphasis on really making sure that you do have the right business model that supports your lifestyle.
100%.
You've heard my stories already, like so important. And also really leaning into what resonates with you when it comes to a marketing strategy. I say that because I have tried, you name it, I have. I have spent over $300,000 over the years to get coaching, training, you name it, and realize that not 95% of the strategies that were taught to me are not for me. Sorry, coaches. Sorry, business strategists. I am one. But it has to, again, it comes down to you have to know what you're passionate about, how you want people to know about you, and what you want to be remembered for. And your marketing strategy gets to be wrapped around that. Just because, I don't mind having conversations like this, being interviewed on a podcast or being in video and speaking, but that may not be your thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be your thing. You can write an article. You can do an audio message and do your training, a whole training, just using your voice. There's so many creative ways, especially with technology these days and AI and all of the things. You can create anything. But what's most important is that to stay in alignment with who you are and run your business through your values and truly consider adding value all the time. I always ask myself this question almost like on a daily basis. I have a daily program. It's initially called Off February, but I have changed it because it was this is a little strong.
It was fun. You're like, I'm faith-led, and you're saying these words.
Yeah, no, I actually, fun story. Literally, I sent an invite to a previous client because I was like, I should open this up to everybody. So I open it up, send it to a message to a previous client. She's like, DeDee, I didn't open it. I thought it was spam or because of the name. And I was like, she's right. That's not usually my energy.
Yeah.
Even if I have a negative comment about me, I would be like, who are you?
Yeah.
I don't know you. It's okay. I'll be over it. So I changed the name from F off February to who is she? Meaning who is she as in you are embodying your own confidence, yourself. It doesn't matter what the world is telling you. You know who you are.
Right.
So when you walk in the room, people will be like, who is she? So I changed my name, but
I love it. I love it.
But going back to, just entrepreneurship in general and just getting grounded in what it is that you care about, that's my business. I teach women entrepreneurs how to build a profitable business through being seen, being heard, and remember for the impact.
I love that. That's awesome. So if there was one thing that you could give as far as a piece of advice for people to implement, start tomorrow, do, what's one thing that you would tell them to start doing? Because we mentioned a lot of different things, and this can be very overwhelming to some individuals. We talked about entrepreneurship. We talked about reaching out, becoming a friend, being intentional, picking core values. There was a lot that we just unpacked. So if there's one thing that listeners could take with them today that would change their life, what would it be?
Invest in yourself, whatever that looks like. It could be literally give yourself 2 minutes of quiet today. I'm not saying buy a trip to Dubai on a yacht. No, it doesn't have to be that. But what's so crazy thing is through my journey, anything that you do to invest in yourself compounds over time. It's not going to be overnight, but you have to make that decision. I am going to take care of me first, especially if you're considering entrepreneurship. Oh, let me tell you, entrepreneurship is like self-development on steroids, and you cannot afford not to be well taken care of. You cannot operate on the highest level. You can't serve at the highest level. You can't show up the way you want to show up.
Yep.
Invest in yourself. Create a self-care system that you're so regimented with, but it's going to compound over time.
I love that. I do that. And I can tell you the changes, the life that we've been able to have because of it. And I'm living proof of just like following a system just like that as well. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I loved all of the insight that you shared today. Is there anything else you would love our listeners to know? Anything you have coming up that we can attend?
Yes, please. This is a God-sized assignment.
Okay.
I was called in September to put on a women's conference. It is called Unleash Your Brave,
Okay. I love it. I love it.
where we're going to create a 3-day experience for women to be seen, to be heard, and to be celebrated. It's a ascension, elevation, activation. Essentially, you walk in as you are, but when you leave, you'll get to feel what it's like to step into your own power.
I love it. So when is it and where?
September 10th through the 12th in St. Pete's, Florida.
Okay. I love St. Pete, by the way. It's a great place. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I loved having you with me today. Thank you all for tuning in. So grateful to have you here with us. If you enjoyed today's conversation, we want to encourage you to give us a 5-star review. Better yet, consider 5 friends that could benefit from today's episode and text that to them. We're here to serve. We're here to love you. We're wishing you a great day. Go do you. And thanks for tuning in. Cheers. Thanks for tuning in to today's podcast. I want to inspire you to send this podcast to 5 of your friends that you think would benefit.